Good morning, Year 2. It's Miss Addy. Our learning question for today in maths asks us, can I organise information into a block diagram? Our steps to success say, I can read information and display it as a block diagram. I can use my block diagram to compare information, and I can answer questions using my block diagram. Our first star word is block diagram, and we're going to explore this a little bit later on. We've also got the star word data because all week we've been learning about data as part of our new topic, which is statistics. And data is information that we can collect or gather to help us. We also have the word represent because this week we've been learning about how to represent data. Yesterday we were thinking about pictograms to represent data. We have the words compare, most, and least because today our block diagram will help us to compare and find out which has the most and which has the least. So just to remind ourselves, earlier on in the week we were learning about tally charts. Can you remember what a tally chart is? Well, a tally chart is used for counting how many of something that we're recording. So we can record anything we like as part of a survey, and then we record it using tally marks. So these aren't numbers, these are marks, and they're used to represent an amount. Just to remind ourselves of our tally marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 5 is special. Can you remember why 5 is special as a tally? That's right, because we draw our 4 tallies vertically, so just going down, and then we draw another tally going diagonally across. This represents 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And 10 is also special because we do 2 5s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, cross the gate. 6, 7, 8, 9, cross the gate. So our learning question today asked us if we can organise information into a block diagram. Do you know what a block diagram is? Have you heard of it before? A block diagram is a chart that is made up of squares, so similar to blocks. There are numbers on the left-hand side and the names of items along the bottom. They are used to represent data. This sounds really similar to a pictogram, which we've been learning about. So we've just found out that block diagrams help us represent data. Can you remember what data means? It was one of our star words. Well, data is a collection of information gathered. That sounds really tricky, but all that means is collecting some sort of information, anything you like. So we've been thinking about favorite colors and favorite pets. These are part of surveys. And then we can display or represent our gathered data using tally marks and as a pictogram, which we've been learning about. Today we're going to explore how we can do this as a block diagram. So here is an example of a block diagram. A block diagram is used to clearly display results and information. Types of items are shown on the x-axis, which is horizontal. Can you say x-axis? This is the x-axis. It's going this direction, so horizontally. So on the x-axis, we have the words dog, cat, snake, bear, horse, and goose. So these are the items that are being compared in the block diagram. And the number of items are shown on the y-axis, which is vertical. Can you say y-axis? So here is the y-axis. It's going up vertically. So we've got numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And this shows us the number of items. And on a block diagram, one block, so one square, represents one item. And it's really helpful because block diagrams help us to compare results. So we can look at them and instantly see that dog has the most and goose has the least because there are none. Here you can see a tally chart that somebody has made to show vehicles on the road. They counted and they collected their information and they represented it using tally marks. Then that person was able to make a block diagram to represent this information. The items or objects go horizontally along the bottom. So over here, these are the items: car, bike, lorry, bus, and motorbike. The number of items go vertically on the left-hand side. And these are numbers 1 to 5, and they're going up vertically. So the other day, we worked together to collect this information and create our own tally chart of animals that we saw at the zoo. So here is our tally chart, and here is a blank block diagram. That means it's empty. What's missing? Good. We need to put the items in on the x-axis, so along the bottom. Here are our items: lion, elephant, penguin, tiger, panda, and giraffe. What else is missing? Well done, that's right. We're missing the numbers on the y-axis, so we've got numbers 1 to 10 going up vertically. Now we can begin by representing our information in the tally chart into a block diagram. So what's the first item we need to look at? It's lions. How many lions did we see? Have a look at the tally chart to help you. We saw 6. So that means we draw 6 squares, and we start at the bottom and we go up one by one. Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good, we've completed this for the lion. Let's move on to the elephant. How many elephants did we see? 2. This means that we draw 2 squares. 1, 2. Let's move on to the penguin. How many penguins did we see? We saw 4, so that means 4 squares, and it's helpful if I colour them because it's easy to compare. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 penguins. How many tigers did we see? That's right, we saw 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Have you noticed that each of my squares is the same size? This is so that it's consistent and easy to compare. Let's move on to the pandas. How many pandas did we see? We saw 3 pandas. 1, 2, 3. 3 squares, 3 blocks. And the last item is giraffe. So how many giraffes did we see? We saw 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've completed our block diagram. We can use our block diagram to help us interpret data. What does interpreting data mean? We spoke about this the other day when we learnt about pictograms. Well, interpreting data means that we're working out what the table, chart, or graph is showing us, and we can use that to answer questions. So today we've learnt about block diagrams, so we can interpret the data from our block diagrams, and we're able then to answer questions about it. So let's have a go at using our block diagram to interpret the data. Which animal did I see the most? What you need to do is look at the block diagram and look at the items. So our items along the bottom, they are the animal names. So which animal had the most squares, the largest number? Good, it was giraffe. It's very clear to see that the giraffe had more than any other animal. Which animal did I see the least? Again, you need to look at the block diagram and see which animal had the smallest number of squares, the least. Good, it was elephant because the elephant only had 2 squares and every other animal had more than 2. Did I see more tigers or pandas? So what you need to do now is look for tigers and look for pandas and compare them. So we can see tigers, there was 5 tigers, and pandas, there was 3 pandas. We can see that by looking at the block diagram. So I can see there were more tigers than pandas. We can use block diagrams to represent almost anything. We can collect a survey, that means find out what people think, and we can represent it. So here is a block diagram of people's favourite sports. This is a block diagram of people's favourite season. Which season is the most popular here? Good, it's summer because it's got a much larger block. Here is a traffic survey. This is a block diagram, and what they're representing is the number of vehicles that have gone past. Which vehicle was the most popular? Which vehicle was the least popular? This block diagram represents pets. So you could ask your friends which pets they have, and then you could represent that as a block diagram. This block diagram represents the month that children were born in. Can you see which month was the most popular month? Can you see which month was the least popular month? This is your task for today, Year 2. I've created a tally chart all about children's favourite pets. You can see my tally chart on the screen. I began to make a block diagram, but I haven't drawn any of the squares in it. I wonder if you can use my tally chart to complete the block diagram. And when you've done that, you could even answer these questions here in purple. How many children liked cats more than birds? Which animal did only one child like? What is the total number of birds and fish? What is the total amount of cats and dogs? Remember, when creating your block diagram, your squares need to be the same size. So a top tip would be to use a ruler if you can, and I use different colours to help me compare the information on my block diagram, so it might be helpful for you to do the same. Hope you enjoy your task, Year 2. Goodbye.